Hi there, my name is Muneera and today we are going to write some poetry. I'm hoping that my barrage of bags are not too much for you. I was like, should I do it the other way around? But this is where the best light is, so I was like, let me do it this way and you can just get used to the bags. But anyway, on to what we are doing today. So we are going to write some poetry. You are going to write some poetry. I'm going to take you through some simple steps which will allow you to be able to write something, simple, to build confidence in terms of writing. And there are times where we go to write something, be it poetry, be it essay, whatever it may be, and we may feel stuck. So hopefully some of these ideas, tricks, tips will help you to become unstuck in these moments. So when I'm in a poetry workshop, when I'm doing poetry writing with groups of people, normally I do it face to face. So I first of all want to acknowledge the fact that, I'm going to tell you to do things and I'm going to be speaking to you and I'm not going to be in the room. So I'm not going to be able to support in the way that I would like to. But I know that you have this, and some of you may have written poetry before, some of you may not have written poetry before, but either way, it's all inside of you. Just any sort of expectations, put them aside. We're not writing books here, but at the same time, what you write will be good, it will be honest, and it will be true. I'm very sure of that. So first of all, one of the first things that I always do, apart from say Bismillah, but one of the other first things that I do is to start off with a free write. So who knows what a free write is? Okay, so I'm not going to be able to hear you. But let me just explain to you what a free write is for those of you who don't know. There's many different types of free write, but in its sort of purest form, it is just writing and not stopping. It is whether you're using a laptop, whether you're using pad and pen, it is about putting pen to paper, fingers to laptop, and just writing for a set period of time without any inhibitions. Now, this process can be scary for many people, and it is a scary process because for people who aren't used to writing, it's like, oh, what's gonna come out? But I don't want you to even think about that. I don't want you to judge it. I just want you to write. Just sort of trust that process. Just trust that you have the ability to be able to do that, okay? Let me just give you a bit more about why free writes are important. Oftentimes, there are a lot of insecurities when it comes to writing, and that could be poems, that could be essays, but there are a lot of insecurities. And so what this does is cuts out on all of that, because it's almost like uncontrolled. You're just writing whatever comes to you. It's not like you try to structure something, it's just whatever comes to you. Oftentimes when writing, we need to be able to get to a point to just get past our insecurities, and so this is what it allows us to do. Also, what it does is sometimes it does tap into our unconscious mind. A lot of the times we are going through things, are experiencing things, and we don't even know it, or we're not able to articulate it. So just give yourself the opportunity to write, and that will naturally come through. Okay, so I did a free write in preparation for this. I'm going to share it with you. The reason why I'm going to share it with you is because it's not my best piece of work. I don't normally share my free writes, and I wouldn't normally, if I do a workshop, I wouldn't normally ask people to share their free write, but this is just that you get a sense of the fact that it doesn't have to rhyme, it doesn't have to make sense, it's just whatever comes to mind. So this is what I've got. Sun shining down on me, birds flying, worries are like waves crashing at shore. I am unsure, and that's okay. I am locked down, or am I knocked out? I am locked down, or am I knocked out? But today's been good to me. Breeze in my face, air in my chest. This light inside of me burning like lanterns, emitting rays that blast further than cannons. Emitting rays that blast further than cannons can conceive. These are the flickers that will deliver me from days when I don't want to get up, can't get up. Some days it feels like my body is conspiring against me. What is it if not personal? That's why I take pictures, on my camera, but also in my mind. These pictures stand out as the most fragrant memories. This moment exists as still and untampered. This one's a classic. Like, whose world is this? The world is mine. Like vanilla ice cream. Like in the beginning was a word. Like change is going to come. Like this too shall pass. And as you see, nothing grand. There's things that I like about it, but it's nothing grand. But what it helps me to do is just get past that initial block, and it taps into my unconscious mind. Okay, so what we're going to do now is something that's called a list poem, and this is a really simple device. What I love about this is the fact that it just sort of breaks down the idea of what a poem is supposed to be. It takes away this and it just makes it so simple to the point where all you have is a list. It could be a list about anything. It could be a list about what you bought at the supermarket. It could be a list of what you had for iftar. It could be love is, or I like, or I dislike, whatever it may be. I'm gonna read you a list poem that I found on the internet. It's a very, very simple poem, but this is just illustrating how simple this task actually is. So the poet says, I am quick, I am slow, I am small, I am large, I am happy, sad, nice and mean, I am cold, I am hot, I am weak, I am strong, loud, quiet, tough, I am gentle, I am brave, I am shy, I am tame, I am wild. Okay, and as you see, it's just a list. It's nothing too difficult to do. So what we are going to do, or what you are going to do, is you're going to do your own list poem. And so I've made this a little bit more complex. What I've done in this example, again, thinking about this moment that we're in, this particular season of COVID-19. And the reason why I'm doing that is because it's important to document our stories. We don't want people telling our stories about where we were, what we were doing. We can tell our own stories, and whether we tell that through video, through poetry, through articles, through writing, whatever it is, it's important to tell our reality. So thinking about this moment that we're in, COVID-19, I came up with two sort of things. Tried to merge them into a list. And they are how I've been feeling and what I've been doing. So I just entitled it List Poem, How I've Been Feeling / What I've Been Doing. And that's not the name of the title, it's just to let me know what the list is about. And so you can do this in any order. It could be a chunk at the top where you have how you've been feeling, and the chunk at the bottom, what you've been doing. Or you could just mix them up. It's completely up to you. But like a Blue Peter presenter, if any of you know what Blue Peter is, because I'm a little bit older. Like a Blue Peter presenter, I am going to, here's one I've done earlier. So I've got, these are the words that I've got. Bored. And by the way, they could be sentences, they could be phrases, they could be single words. There's no restrictions on what it is or what it isn't. So I've got bored, alone, emotional, like I need someone to talk to, happy, free, more relaxed than I've ever been in a long time, sleepy and tired, hungry and hurt, like I need space, I'm missing my niece, I'm insecure, I feel like a chef, I feel like a Muslim, riding my new bike, I've been riding my new bike, cooking food, I've been growing plants and herbs and vegetables, spending time aiding family, writing, learning Arabic, talking to myself more, caring for myself more, Zooming with friends, waiting on clocks to tick and the alarm to go. And so that's what I got for my list poem. And as you can see, it's just a simple thing. I timed myself again with this. Sometimes taken away when you can't think, that pressure of time just pushes you into that space. Again, it's about, it doesn't matter if it's what you would want it, if it's not like amazing. But yeah, so this is what I want you to do, okay? Pause here because there's something else that I want you to do. Just gonna give you time to pause. Unpause. Okay, so now that you have done that, what I want you to do is add a bit more information about the thing. You don't have to have, I think I've had more than, on my list I've got more than 15 things. You don't have to have that many. If you got like 5 things, that's fine, but just try to get as many things as possible. So I want you to add extra information on some of them. And I haven't added extra information on all of them. So now it reads bored, because I'm not used to the quiet time. I'm not used to being still, alone. But I'm not sure, is this, let me get closer, sorry. Bored, because I'm not used to the quiet time. I'm not used to being still, alone. But I'm not sure this is the same as lonely, because I also kind of like isolation, emotional, and it comes in waves. Like I need to talk to someone. Human interaction is my superpower. Happy and free, more relaxed than I've ever been in a long time. Who would have known the world would keep spinning, sleepy and tired, hungry because I'm also fasting, hurt. I feel like I need space. I'm missing my niece in the way that she smiles. I'm insecure, caught up with the things that I should be doing and the things that I can't do. I feel like a chef. I feel like a chef. I feel like a Muslim. I've been riding my new bike, cooking food, and Jamie Oliver has got nothing on me. I'm growing plants and herbs and vegetables. I've been growing plants, herbs, and vegetables. I'm becoming the wise woman I've always wanted to be, always wanted to grow into. Sorry. I've been growing plants, herbs, and vegetables. I'm becoming the wise woman that I've always wanted to grow up to be. Spending time and aiding my family. Writing, documenting this time right here, right now, forgetting about the past. Learning Arabic, talking to myself more, caring for myself more, Zooming with friends, waiting on clocks to tick and the alarm to go. Sunday will never be the same. Or Sundays will never be the same. And again, would I use all of that in a poem? Probably not. But you don't have to worry about that because this is not the editing process. This is simply just getting thoughts down so that we've got something, we've got a chunk of something to write. We are about to do another list poem, but this is going to be done in 2 parts. So I'm going to explain the first part, and then I want you to take a pause and give yourself 5 minutes, well, for each section. So the first part, I want you to give yourself 5 minutes to write that. And for the second part, I want you to give you 5 minutes to write that. Again, the times are, you don't need a lot of times. The times are really restricted just so that you have the ability to just think with pressure. Well, not so much with pressure, but you have the ability to think, and all of that, oh, what am I gonna write? Oh, it doesn't sound good, just goes out of the window, okay? So in thinking about this second list poem that we're about to do, this poem, let's just call it a list. This list is called Things to Be Thankful For. Sticking with this pandemic, sticking with this moment that we're in Ramadan as well. It's Ramadan currently anyway. Thinking about this pandemic at least, or whatever situation you're in right now, I want you to think, what are the things that you are thankful for? What are the things that make you wake up? When you wake up, you're like, oh wow, that's really beautiful, or oh wow, that made me feel really good. So like a Blue Peter presenter, here's one I done earlier. Is a short list. It took me longer to write this, and that's fine. I've got discovering new constellations, discovering things about my parents that I never knew, the clarity that fasting brings, Fenty Beauty, the tree across the road, being up before dawn, being up after dawn, being up at sunrise, ginger, fajita wraps, dried roses, my girls, my tribe, the women around me, seeing signs, okay? So that was the things that make me feel, or the things that, yeah, I'm grateful for. So what I want you to do, I want you to pause now and give yourself 5 minutes to write your list. So I'm just gonna freeze frame. So 5 minutes has elapsed and you've come back. And so you should have your own list, okay? So now that you've got your list, I want you to think about adding to that list. And whereas before we added to the list by just adding little bits and we weren't too specific about what they were, just adding additions to that. This time, what I want you to do, I want you to think using your senses. So think using your sight. So what your sight, sorry, I have to go through it because it gets confusing sometimes. So your sight, your hearing, what you taste, what you smell, what you touch. That's right. So your 5 senses, I had to remind myself of that. And I want you to go through that, give yourself 5 minutes. And even though mine was short, I gave myself 5 minutes and I wasn't able to go through all of it. But what I want you to do is add to bits of them. So, or try to add to all of them, but if you don't get to all of them, that's fine. Okay. I want you to add to them, like discovering new constellations. So what does that feels like? What does that taste like? What does that sound like? I want you to think along those lines. So now I'm going to give you a further 5 minutes in order to do that. And I'll be back. I'm right here. So if you just press pause. Okay, so glad that you pressed pause. And now what I'm going to show you what I've got. Okay, things to be thankful for. Discovering new constellations. Discovering things about my parents that I never knew. Rooting like hard food. Green banana, yam and breadfruit. the clarity that fasting brings. I'm thankful for Fenty Beauty, mocha, cinnamon, suede, Sunday. The tree across the road from me, with autumn color leaves that I've never really noticed before, burnt pink with gold streaks and red speckles. Being up before dawn, being up after dawn, being up at sunrise. I'm thankful for my girls, my tribe, who hold me together like hugs from a mother or kisses from a lover. The women around me surround me like going around the Kaaba, seeing signs of my Lord. And that's what I've got, okay? Or what you should have is something like that. So now we have 3 very disconnected things, right? And so this is a challenge. So, you may have thought, oh no, I can't write. Some of you may have thought that. Maybe you're all really accomplished writers, I don't know. But some of you may have thought, oh, I can't write, what am I gonna do? But actually, you've done the writing. All of the writing is done now. So all that we need to do is try to make this into a poem. And essentially you've got 3 poems there, right? You've got your free write, as we said, I read mine, sun shining down on me, birds flying, worries like waves crashing at shore, all of these different things, right? And then we had the list poem, bored, alone, emotional, but we added more information to it. And now we have this poem, okay? So the task is, and this may be more difficult in a way, is to try and forge this into one poem. So we're going to take your 3 poems and forge this into one poem. Although you can't see me doing it, I'm just going to do it here, just so that you can see how I'm working and just so that you can see the process that you have to go to. If we're thinking about this poem, I guess I would like for my poem to be like things that I want people to know about this particular time, okay? So the things that I would tell them when they ask about this time, that's the name of the poem, or the name of my poem. And so what I've got here is, looking at it, the thoughts that were on my mind initially. I've got a bit about how I'm feeling and what I've been doing, and then I've got something about what keeps me up. So there's almost a narrative. There's the reality of whatever's going on, there is what I have been doing, and there's what I'm grateful for in this time. So that's almost like, it feels like a natural sort of arch of a story. And we can add to this if there's words that come to you, if there's lines that comes to you. You don't have to have everything, but if there's words that come to you, if there's lines that come to you, then feel free to do that. So I'm gonna start off with, let me see, sun shining down on me and birds flying. So I'm looking back, right? So this is no longer going to be this tense. It's going to need to be a different tense. So the sun shone down on me, birds were flying. Let me just copy this. The birds shone down on me, the birds. Okay, so the sun shone down on me, the birds kept flying. In fact, there were more. All right, so I'm looking at that piece of, okay. And now let me see, what have I got next here? Worries are like waves crashing at shore. Worries are like waves crashing at shore. So let me see, what could we turn that into? Worries were like waves crashing at shore. Just change the tense. Worries were like waves crashing at shore. So let's do this. Worries were like waves crashing at shore. All right. And so now looking at the next piece, I'm unsure, and that's okay. I don't want to put that. I'm not feeling that. So let me see. I'm unsure. I'm locked down and locked out. Can't think of anything. So let me go to the next poem and see, are there any lines that I can take from here? So it was simply bored because I'm not used to the quiet time. I'm not used to being still. Alone, but I'm not sure, is this the same as lonely, because I like isolation. Let me see. So maybe I'll put something like, there were times when I was bored. So there are times where I was bored, and there were times when I was alone. So essentially what you're doing is you're going through the bits of the poem and just putting them into orders that you like the sound of. Now for this, I'm going to give you 10 minutes, okay? So I'm going to stop the clock here, and then when we come back, we can see what I've got, what you've got, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I've been hard at work. I've done most of the work before, but I wanted to do this part here sort of semi with you, right? And so I have literally cut and paste different parts of the writings to formulate something that is sort of a poem. This is the editing process, so it's not as long as the process, or should I say, the poem is not going to be as long as the 3 pieces were. It's quite a short poem, and it could be shorter, could be longer, it's completely up to you. But my poem is called The Things I Will Tell Them When They Ask Me About This Time. Okay. The things I will tell them when they ask me about this time. The sun shone down on me. The birds kept flying, in fact there were more. Worries were like waves crashing at shore. There were times I was bored and times I was alone, but other times I felt free, like there was a breeze in my face and air in my chest. The light inside of me burnt brighter than lanterns, emitting rays that blasted further than cannons can conceive. These were flickers that delivered me from days when I didn't want to get up, couldn't get up. These are the things that I would tell them when they asked me about this time. Sleepy, tired, hurt, hungry. But then I thought about the things to be grateful for, the things to be thankful for, like the sounds of birds, discovering new constellations, the night sky which quilted the earth. I discovered things about my parents that I never knew. This rooted me like Caribbean hard food like green banana, yam, breadfruit like ackee, saltfish and dasheen and plantain. Fenty Beauty made me feel like an island queen. Mocha, cinnamon, and suede shades. I remember looking at the tree across the road with autumn colored leaves that I had never really noticed before. Burnt pink, gold streaks, and red speckles. It was Ramadan, so most days I was up before dawn and after dawn. I was up before dawn, up after dawn, up at sunrise. I remember those sunrises. I remember my girls, my tribe, who held me together like hugs from a mother's kiss, who hold me together like hugs from a mother's kiss, who hold me together like hugs from a mother or kisses from a lover. The women around me, we would Zoom in the house party. These are the things that I would tell them when they asked me about this time. So looking at that poem, I've only had one attempt at editing the poem. So I probably would edit this again, but we've got something together, which is pretty decent, you know. You may be thinking, well, how do I stitch these different things together? And it is literally taking a line that you think sounds good and what other line could go there. If there's not a line that goes between this line and that line, then you add that line and you connect that line. So thinking about things which make it more poetic, you know, things like repetition. So for example, I said something about sunrise. It was Ramadan, I was up before dawn, up after dawn, up at sunrise. I remember those sunrises. So like sunrise, repeating certain phrases. Or for example, I said the light inside of me burnt brighter than lanterns. So just by doing simple things like repetition, it can make it more poetic. What I did, I took the title of the poem and I inserted it, maybe slightly different ways, because the title is The Things I Would Tell Them and Ask Them About This Time. But when I inserted it into the poem in different places, I called it These Are the Things That I Will Tell Them When They Ask Me About this time. So this is just a simple way of coming up with a poem in an afternoon, in the morning, in a matter of a couple of hours. If you just practice this, you know, practice free writing, practice list poems, and just continue in this vein, then we will improve as writers. I think like there's never a end, there's never a peak. Everything's a journey and we just continue and continue. But thank you for being with me. I hope you do write some poems, because we're actually going to be doing a live and I would like to invite some of you to write poems. And yeah, I hope I get to see some of your lovely faces. Thank you. My name is Muneera, and I hope to see you soon. Take care. Masalama. Goodbye.